So, family, we have a former NYPD police officer who rioted at the U.S. Capitol during the Capitol siege, who is now blaming PTSD from his job, and he wants a lesser sentence, even though he is seen on video assaulting fellow police officers and just acting wild. And so, Thomas Webster, I remember that name by heart because Thomas Webster was one of the first law enforcement officers, at least former police officers, who was caught down at the U.S. Capitol. And so he told a psychologist that he remembers an incident that happened in the Bronx. And that's what made him, get into a vehicle, go down to the U.S. Capitol, and go and riot. Seriously, y'all, I have heard it all, man. I have heard it all. And so Thomas Webster is saying that he had some flashbacks. And that's why he attacked a Capitol police officer with a metal flagpole because of an incident that happened back in the Bronx, where he got into a struggle with an armed robber. And so apparently, when you get into a struggle with an armed robber, somehow that makes you get into a vehicle and go from New York to the U.S. Capitol and attack a fellow law enforcement officer. Man, the police officers and the former cops who were caught down at the U.S. Capitol, so far they've been given every janky excuse you could think of. There was actually another guy named Thomas Robinson, used to work for the Rocky Mount Police Department in Virginia. See, that shows you how much I cover these stories that I know that off the top of my head. This guy blamed Facebook for radicalizing him. There's been cops that have been involved with the January 6th riot who so far have said that it was Facebook, it was movies, it was video games, it was PTSD, it was their job. Nobody just went down there to commit a crime. And I find it very interesting that we have law enforcement officers or even former ones who don't understand that if you did the crime, do the time. There are no excuses. Many combat veterans have PTSD, right? And yet they still go to jail, even if PTSD was a motivating factor as to the reasons why they committed the crime. So why in the world does Thomas Webster think he's going to be an exception? Sir, you will not be. Go to prison.